The memory of Jason still haunts you. You're not alone. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Severe trauma at age 12. Brutal self-defense, murder of a psychopathic killer.
The mindless, murderous fury that was buried with Jason has been reborn.
Pete!
And suddenly, terror has become child's play.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What?
This week, we'll be discussing the horror classic, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, starring Corey Feldman and the kid who played Reggie on a very special episode of Different Strokes. If you remember that TV series.
You have
Good
to be
times.
of a certain age.
You definitely have to be of a certain age. Aaron, give us the 30-second synopsis of Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
All right, before we go into my rage for you forcing me to watch this piece of crap, let's talk about Schitt's Creek and David.
Okay.
I love David so much that I either need to marry him or he just needs to move in with me and be my best friend and follow me around everywhere. His eye rolls and his facial expression are amazing.
So you're Stevie in this scenario.
Oh no, I would be much more clingy than Stevie. I would have to be with him at all times, just to watch him, watch him.
Interesting.
I deep dived his clothes. There's whole Reddit streams dealing just with his outfits.
That's half the reason to watch the show, frankly, is his crazy outfits.
I love it all. Since they had since they had a low budget, so it's all designer wear, but he got it all off the Real or Gilded and all that. But people have gone and figured out who the designer is for each outfit, including links to where you can get it. It's out of control. And quite frankly, a couple of them. The one with the hooded mohawk.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
I think so, yes.
That's $2,000 used. So I was like, I'm going to get me that hooded mohawk. Let's look on the Real. It's Helmut Lang. I was like, oh. I guess I won't be getting that even used. Maybe if there were a couple of cigarette burns in it or something, I could get it a lower price.
What's crazy is those outfits are nuts.
They're nuts.
His wardrobe is the craziest outfits you've ever seen. And he always wears a crazy sweater with some kind of culottes, kind of shorts,
or either the drop crotch or it's the pants that have an attached skirt. It's a series of $700 high top tennis shoes, and it's fantastic. He is his mother, but cooler. Because her outfits are just batshit crazy. And they take a crazy outfit and add such terrible accessories to it. It makes it so much worse.
Her wigs.
And her terrible wigs.
Yes.
And her Catherine O'Hara's insane, bizarro accent that changes throughout every episode. Half the time she's Katharine Hepburn.
Yes.
It's just, frankly, it's annoying. It's David.
Yes,
it's the kids.
I agree.
It's the kids.
I agree. They're great.
I have to stop watching it. I have watched all the way up to almost season 5 in 3 days.
Well, you know that they swept the Emmys on their final season. They set records.
I don't even know what was wrong with me, because I think last year I watched a single episode and I was like, oh, I'm not feeling this. And then all of a sudden I tried it again and I just got hooked into it.
Becky and I watched a lot of it when we were in Colorado, and it's just kind of soothing in a way. It's I don't have to focus too deeply. I can just lay back. If I fall asleep halfway in the middle of the episode, cool.
I set the sleep timer and I just drift away because it doesn't matter. But oh my God, David, I just love David.
It's very pleasant, is how I would describe it. Anyway.
Oh my God. I'm at the one where he has the boyfriend now, so
I haven't. You're ahead of me.
yeah.
I think I'm mid season 3. So
The outfits continue to astound and fascinate, but
Yes.
some of them, $100. I might be buying, wearing a men's blouse next time you see me, because I was like, like I said, Reddit is deep dive every outfit with like, this is a Philip blah blah blah, and here's a link. And
well,
blah, blah, blah.
let me give you a little bit of advice. Men don't wear blouses,
What do you call it?
except for
a
David.
Shirt?
David will wear a blouse.
David,
K-Dog is not wearing a blouse.
some of these, David is just straight up wearing a dress with leggings on a couple of them.
Yes, he is. Okay, give us your 30-second synopsis of Friday the 13th: A New Beginning. For God's
If
sakes.
only Friday the 13th: A New Beginning could be as good as Schitt's Creek. But all right, so we start off with kids digging up Jason's grave, as one does, and 30 seconds of Corey Feldman dressed like a character from It. Watching the thing. Of course, Jason's ready to go. I love that they found a funeral home that made sure to enclose the machete in Jason's hand and put the mask on. At
They only buried him 6 inches as well, so that was helpful.
It was the easiest dig. They literally just found one of those when a stream comes through and makes a little hole, and they just threw some planting soil on top of it. Yeah, 2 inches.
So cheap. It was so cheap.
It was a 30-second dig to even Goodfellas dug a bigger hole.
This is true.
So anyway, Jason kills people. Corey Feldman's character goes insane, stays insane. Flash forward to the future. He's at some wayward youth that looks like one of these group homes where they send the Scientology kids that won't conform. And Jason decides to just kill everybody. Corey Feldman becomes Jason, ? The end.
Very good. Clear, concise. A blind man could follow that plot. Absolutely.
I often wonder, so what's Jason's purpose? To destroy all humans? And then what happens? He just wanders the earth on his own?
Like Kane in Kung Fu. He just
Kane
walks the earth.
Looking for the next town. And then what? Then he can rest easy?
Well, it's hard to say, because absolutely the first movie, as you know, it was the mom, Pamela Voorhees, is avenging the death of her son 20 years earlier.
And I never understood how he made this jump. Okay, so the kid rises from the depths of the murky lake because they never retrieved the floating corpse of a child. So
why bother?
Or they weighted it down. They're like, screw it, put him back in the lake. And then
back in the lake.
How did he go from being a kid to a 60-year-old man? Because Jason looks crazy old based on his ears at various times.
This is the immortal question. Because remember, the original Friday the 13th, where it was the mom is the killer, spoiler alert, was just meant to be a one-shot deal. And the whole kid jumping out of the lake, grabbing the woman in the canoe was just meant to be kind of a shock at the end, comparable to Carrie.
Right.
At the end of Carrie, the hand comes up out of the ground and scares
Iconic.
Right. So that's all it was meant to be. However, it made so much money, they're like, we got to get on this train.
That's
and
right.
They basically, and since the first movie is already meant to be a ripoff of Halloween, they said, we're going to go the full 9s and now have our own version of Michael Myers. We're going to say that even though it was the entire inciting incident of the original movie is that Jason's dead, he's now alive and a grown man.
With no explanation.
No explanation. And the movie, I think, only takes place 5 years later. So there's no explanation as to how he goes from being the crazy little frog creature that jumps out of the lake to now a full-grown man. There's no explanation.
And they've made 900 of these. Why couldn't they come up with a movie with a wacky explanation? I mean, you and I could write that.
Because who cares?
Aliens. No, but because well,
only Aaron cares about the continuity. At this stage of the game, we just need a big guy roaming around, hacking people with machetes. That's all we need. That's all we need.
what I don't understand is if he's immortal, then how does he keep getting killed? And then how does he clearly feels pain. Otherwise, you wouldn't be grabbing your stomach or wincing.
Well, okay. Well, you watched this movie, right?
Yes. Kinda.
Okay, so then you know this isn't Jason.
Okay, this is what I wrote down. Is there a Jason virus?
That could be.
That's what I wrote down because they say it's not Jason, but is it a Jason virus? Because at one point there was some supernatural traveling. So unless the ambulance operator is in fact some kind of track star or has the ability of flight, there's no way that they got from the house all the way in front of these people who are running full tilt.
That's just how they roll. I think it's just called lazy filmmaking. I don't think it's any kind of supernatural issues.
So then how does Corey Feldman become Jason at the end? I think it's a Jason virus.
Okay, we need to stop calling him Corey Feldman. Because Corey Feldman is literally in 30 seconds of this movie at the very beginning, and it's a dream.
What is it, David?
It can't all be David. His name's Tommy Jarvis.
Jarvis.
Tommy Jarvis.
I wish it was David.
I guess so.
Jason versus David.
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
And it scares me.
Okay, so the opening scene with Corey Feldman is not a flashback per se, but it's like kind of remembering. It's tying the actor who plays Tommy Jarvis in this movie to Corey Feldman of the previous movie, which we did on the show.
Because otherwise you'd have no idea.
You would have no idea, obviously. It was originally, this is some behind the scenes. It was supposed to be Corey Feldman in this movie, but he was busy making The Goonies.
Well, better choice. Good job.
Better choice.
What are your better choices, Corey Feldman?
Yeah. So he agreed to film like one night in a neighbor's yard, the opening sequence to tie it together. That's basically what it is. So then you're right. Now it's adult Tommy Jarvis driving to the forest home of wayward youths.
Yes.
I don't know what it's supposed to be like. It's like a halfway house so that you go there for a while, kind of get reassimilated into society, and then they release you into the wild, I guess.
Well, by the looks of things, the children were already released because what I've learned with teenagers is unless you give them a schedule and things to do every day, they're all going to end up burning down the neighbor's house or getting pregnant because they will come up with their own things to do. And you would think with people with certain mental issues, it would not be just be free little children.
And that's basically what he says. There's no schedules. No one's going to tell you what to do. There's no guards. You can come and go as you. It sounds like you're already releasing us.
Exactly, because if that was a foster care, you would lose your license. You need to know where the children are. Plus, you need to educate them.
Not to mention, most of these children, quote unquote, look like well into their 20s, at least. Vic looks about 45. The crazed axe murderer.
I couldn't figure that out. I was like, who the hell is this dude? Is he supposed to be a kid? Or is he a helper? He is 45. He may even be Jason. I don't know.
Well, that's the other thing. Okay, so Tommy has obviously got some serious mental issues.
He's clearly been strapped to a gurney, like cuckoo's nest, for this whole time.
That's what they suggest. That they put it on so many drugs that it's surprised he can think at all. Is what they say at one point. But then look at the other kids. You have a kid with like a stutter. I don't know if that
was enough.
Being sent to the insane asylum.
Exactly.
Then there's like the crazy kind of new wave girl.
Oh, who looks exactly like one of your daughters. I didn't want to say that, but I have to say that. Who is listening? Who was like moonwalk practicing?
She's doing she's popping and locking like she's doing breakdancing in her room. I don't know what the heck that was. Again, not worthy of being sent to the insane asylum.
Well,
as
she
far as I
did
can
dye
tell.
the tips of her hair black. That's antisocial.
That's antisocial behavior. I mean, and then there's poor Joey, the ill-fated Joey, who I guess is just fat. Is that why he's being sent? He eats chocolate?
He's fat,
I don't know.
and he seems like he might be a little ID, perhaps.
Perhaps. Now, Vic, in retrospect, definitely should have been sent somewhere a little more, like with chains and shackles,
Like
and things like that.
Angola or something.
To Devil's Island. He should have been sent. He should have been sent somewhere a little more strict, if you ask me. But then there's like other people, like I guess there's the nymphomaniac couple who are constantly running off into the woods to get down to business.
Oh my God!
Is that why they're sent there?
Yeah, because what I've learned from teenagers, also being a teenager, nothing like better is just walking around naked, fully exposed.
Fully exposed in the woods.
In the woods on a dirty
In
old
the woods.
sheet, 12 noon. Let's just be splayed eagle. And when you have roommates, nothing better than just sleeping in your underwear with no top on, because that's what girls do when they're in high school sharing a room.
And that's that redheaded girl, Robin, who I don't know what her issue is. They never explained.
She doesn't have the sense
she's
to
just a
put on a
redhead?
shirt when you have a roommate. Maybe that's why she was sent
That
there.
could be it. That's basically what it is.
It's like, honey,
if you share a room.
I don't need to see your tits. Can you put those away? They're not doing anything for me.
It's a sad situation. So poor Joey wanders around with like a Mr. Goodbar, trying to help people do their chores. He gets his chocolatey paw prints on some sheets. The girls yell at him. He offers to help Vic chop the logs, and that's when it all goes down.
It all goes wrong. Yeah, so that one, like a counselor or a schedule, might come in handy. Okay, Vic, and I'm a special ed teacher. Okay, Vic, wash your hands, and then
That's
you
Joey.
or whatever. Joey, wash your
Joey.
freaking hands, and then you can come over. Right now, we're looking a mess. So
It's like chocolate smeared on his face.
Yeah.
It's like not just, it's like all over him. It's like I would have taken it at some point. It's
Get
like,
away with me with those hands. Get away.
Now, granted, Vic's reaction, an overreaction.
It seems
Let's call it what it is. All Joey was offering to do was help. And he literally gave him his extra.
He needs a job.
Right. Vic had a job, but clearly he was losing his mind.
I like the fact that there's been a brutal murder. Unsupervised children are hacking each other with axes and are constantly running away, and no state agencies are involved. This must be one of those like Utah states where they don't giza.
Well, what's funny is there's a scene literally right before this scene where the grisly neighbor woman comes running over, telling that she's going to kill all the psychos with her shotgun if they don't get their act together. She wants this loony bin shut down kind of thing. And the kindly sheriff's just like, ah, ha, ha, very funny. Smash cut to Vic murdering Joey. So maybe the crazy neighbor was right.
Exactly.
That's clearly. Sweet Jesus. It's a sad situation. We're already hip deep in the highlights.
Let me ask you this question. Was this like a 3D movie?
No, that was Friday the 13th in 3D. That was the third one.
Okay, because at the very beginning, the opening credits, it looked like it was like the mask is zipping through and exploding the thing.
It does kind of look like
I thought maybe it was a 3D movie.
Right. It definitely kind of looks like that, what they're going for. But okay, so Vic is a psycho. They haul him off in shackles. And then the paramedics arrive. And this is where we meet Roy, the paramedic, who is later revealed, spoiler alert, to not only be Joey's estranged father, but he's also the killer.
So if he gave a damn, why didn't why isn't Joey living with him?
He's just a deadbeat dad.
Well,
I guess is what
he's
it comes
got a
down
job.
to.
He's living in the same town.
What a coincidence. Yeah. And literally, if you watch the movie again knowing Roy is the killer, they go out of their way to make it clear that Roy is the killer. And I think I read somewhere that the first cut of the movie, when it was revealed who the killer was, people were like, who the hell is that?
So they had to go back in and add more Roy.
They absolutely, because he literally, even in this current cut, Roy literally says one sentence. You talking to me, Sheriff? That's his line.
Well, let me ask this question.
He says nothing else the entire movie.
Why doesn't
Go
Roy
ahead.
just kill the guy who killed his son?
Excellent question. The actual murder of his dearly departed child gets away scot-free. I mean, not scot-free. I'm assuming he'll face justice, perhaps. But he's not killed by Roy. Roy kills
Just
basically everybody else in the movie.
including the neighbors who are like, what does this have to do with anything?
Kills the neighbors, kills the other paramedic, kills randos. One of the things we're going to talk about in behind the scenes is that the writer-director basically said, you need to have, actually the producers basically told the writers that you have to have a death every 8 minutes. So if you watch this movie, it's basically a series of vignettes where they introduce randos who are killed. Like, there's a scene where it's like, there's the weird, like, 50s greasers. One of them's, like, dressed like Marlon Brando with the leather hat and everything. And who are connected in no way to the Pinehurst facility. Who are just, their car broke down. They're trying to drive somewhere. Roy shows up, kills them. And we introduce the characters. By the end of the scene, they're dead. Then there's the crazy ambulance driver, I guess that's what he is, who delivers Tommy to Pinehurst. He's picking up his girlfriend at the diner. It's like, here they are. Oh, now
yeah, I mean, it was very random. And then they killed like the dude from the Prince and the Revolution and Tootie. For what reason?
Prince and the Revolution and Tootie. Interesting. You're talking about Reggie the Reckless's brother,
yes.
Demon. Is that it? Or Devil?
Doesn't matter.
Devil?
I think it's Demon.
Something like that.
Demon looks like one of the Revolution, and his girlfriend for sure is Bad Tootie. Janet Jackson.
That, you mean poor Anita? Is that who you're talking about?
I'm calling her Tootie. And I'm still calling
very upsetting.
David Corey Feldman.
Okay. Not called David. Oh, sweet Jesus. So it is. It's like this, just a reoccurring scene of introduced characters. Roy pops up, murders them. Move on to the next
the waitress. You got the guy, like you were saying, the guy who looks like the Dorothy Stratton's husband from Star 80, picking up Dorothy Stratton at the diner. They both get killed. Boom.
Dorothy Stratton.
That was a pure Star 80.
He was the creepy. He drops Tommy off at the facility at the beginning of the movie. And he's literally reading just porn in the front seat.
As one
just
did
flagrantly, as one does. And it's like, this is a Me Too moment where he's dropping off Tommy. The Dr. Pam, I think is her name. She's like, hey, which also coincidentally it was Jason's mom's name. They reuse names in these movies for some reason over and over again. We're going to talk about that as well. Pam's there. And she's like, come on, Tommy, let's go get you checked in. And he's like, hey, doll, how you doing? And he like sticks his tongue out at her and all this weird stuff. It was like, what are you doing? You're fired, pal. What? Sweet Jesus. So yeah, he gets murdered. He's picking up the waitress at the diner who exposes herself for no reason to a mirror.
As one does in a filthy
showtime.
diner. Let me look at my Zoombas because I'm not sure what they look like.
She says, it's showtime, and exposes herself to no one. So that's good. Good time. They're all killed, so very upsetting. They're dropping like flies. So every time somebody's murdered, they have the paramedics there to pick up the body. And then they'll cut to like the sheriff going like, man, there's like a psycho on the loose. And it'll immediately cut to Roy who looks right at the camera and gives like a weird look.
So literally, Roy,
like...
he's just creating business for himself. Did they get a piece of the action for every pickup? He has to run home, take a shower, scrub all the blood out from under. You think he'd be tired because I'm guessing chasing people and hacking them to death would be physically exhausting.
Yes.
It seems like a younger man job.
It's hard work.
I could never figure out why the first Friday the 15th, when the lady is clearly like 55, is able to outrun teenagers and beat them to death.
She's spry. She does a lot of jazzercise. So that's what I'm saying. It's like they're constantly like, now they go back and they constantly cut to Roy to make it clear, hey, remember this guy? This guy's important.
And yet I didn't.
And yeah, exactly. You thought it was the real Jason who was killing people. Was not the real Jason. In fact, if you'll notice watching this movie, the way that they shot it was much more reminiscent of the original Friday the 13th, where it's a lot of just a hand holding a knife coming in.
Right,
like you don't see the killer. Like they made a point to do that until like the big climax where you actually see the hockey mask and all that stuff. But that's the thing about this is so bizarre. And first of all, we have to say, this is important. We respect all first responders. Simply being a paramedic does not automatically mean you're a killer.
But it doesn't automatically mean you're not.
It doesn't exclude you. But what I'm saying is, just like Dressed to Kill, not all transgenders are murderers. Okay? Just like in Leprechaun, not all leprechauns are murderers.
I'm not sure about that. I think they're not necessarily good little people.
It's hard to say. I judge each on a case-by-case basis. So anyway, I totally lost my train of thought. Sweet Jesus. It kind of doesn't make sense. I know, shocking. Later in the movie, it almost seems like the real killer, Roy, is trying to frame Tommy. Like at one point, Reggie, when the murders have started, Reggie runs into Tommy's room looking for him, and all the bodies are in Tommy's room. Like, for the audience, when we already know Tommy's hanging by a thread, his sanity, it makes sense. But why would Roy be like, how would he know anything about it? I guess is what I'm saying.
Tommy's story at all. And one, I didn't even realize that was his room. And what's the point of piling him up?
Why are you trying to frame Tommy? And then later, he's in full Jason regalia, including like a bald wig kind of thing to look like Jason, because now he's trying to frame it on Jason, I guess.
Yeah, it's all very weird, because you're never going to think that Jason was Tommy, because Tommy at one point takes his shirt off and is ripped. He's been eating nothing but chicken and broccoli for 6 weeks and working out 20 hours a day. And Jason
a lot of crunches.
Is clearly an old man with weird ears.
With weird ears? It's Jason's the weird ears that give him away.
Jeans. I mean, it's clearly not Tommy.
Okay, again, now that we know it's Roy, the disgruntled paramedic, it makes no sense that he's literally smashing through doors.
Right.
Like Jason could
That's
do.
why
He's just a
I
paramedic.
was thinking near the end that it was some kind of virus that possessed you. So now once the paramedic dude is dead, now it leaks over into Tommy.
Well, okay. There's a whole thing we're going to talk about in behind the scenes that may or may not explain any of this. It's hard to say. But you're right. It's like when he's in full Jason regalia, although his mask is different. Like it has the blue stripes on the cheeks instead of the red arrow above between the eyes. So it's a different hockey mask. But you're right. He gets hurt constantly. They hit him with the tractor, and he's totally jacked up. She slashes him with the chainsaw. He gets jacked up. He's getting hurt. And yet he's still like, I am still desperate to murder you three people.
Over my own safety.
Over my own safety when none of you had anything to do with my son's death. It's very important to me that I murder you. At one point, they push him off like a ledge, push Jason off onto the bed of spikes that is important.
Right.
That's at every farm. Every farm has to have a bed of spikes.
Right outside
Very
the bar.
important.
Absolutely. Don't fall out of the hayloft.
Right. Did you also notice? It's like, for some reason, the Home for Wayward Youths is also a working petting zoo. When they first pull in, there's like sheep walking around, and anyway, it's all very strange. So they push him over the ledge, thinking he's dropped to his death onto the bed of spikes. So they get close to look over, and of course he jumps up.
Yeah.
What were you hanging on to? His hands weren't hanging on the edge. You would have seen the hands.
He's a
just
superhero,
floating off
middle-aged
camera.
paramedic, serial killer.
That's what they do. Oh, sweet Jesus. I have
just
pages
weird
of notes.
observations.
Go
at
with
one
your
point,
observation.
The guy who runs the place, he had his shirt buttoned down, like 5 buttons down. What was going on with that? I'm not even sure.
It's
Jack
called the
Tripper
Jack
in
Tripper.
1985. I'm not sure that was a frickin' thing. That
Yes.
was so bizarre. I was like, ew.
The first 5 buttons on
At
the
what-
shirt are just a
At one
suggestion.
point, there was like
That's how I
an
feel.
homage to the Kevin Bacon killing where the knife came up through the bunk bed. Did you catch that?
Yes, I
Poor
did.
Robin.
Poor Robin. The
That's what you get.
Topless
You show
Robin.
people your boobas, you're gonna get the machete.
Well, she was mean to the poor stuttering boy.
It is so clear
Who-
that men wrote, directed, produced these movies. Absolutely, it's all
Of course.
like, I'm gonna get that girl who wouldn't sleep with me when I was 14. And then,
That's
of
standard.
course, and then your
That is
fake
standard.
daughter had like an Alan Parsons Project poster. She's like supposed to be a punk rocker with the
Yes.
Alan Parsons Project. Come on.
She is very eclectic listening music.
At one point,
tastes,
they were
basically.
running away. Where was it? They were looking for Reggie, I think, and then Pam finds him. She's like, "It's me, Pam." Well, who the hell else would it be? Of course, it's Pam. Why would you shout that? It's me, Pam.
You have eyes. Please look at
Like
me and you will
clearly,
see
we
it's
all
Pam.
live in the same weird shelter wherever we are.
Yes.
And then, as they're
Yes.
running through the forest, Reggie clearly ditches Pam
Yep.
because, hello, you're trying to get away and hide, so just bellowing as you run through the forest. Reggie!
Pam!
Yeah, you're a siren for
Yes.
every serial killer. Exactly. If I'd be going with Reggie. We're gonna go hide in the basement.
We've already established this place is full of psychos, regardless of Jason. So I'm not on a good day. I'm not calling out for help.
My
Let's be
God.
honest.
I mean, I don't know if Jason
Sweet
has
Jesus.
night vision, but he's clearly deaf as a stone because at one point in the barn, she's hiding behind a door with a chainsaw. And the door
Yes.
is so thick
I wrote that
you
down.
cannot hear. And I don't know if you know this, but chainsaws besides being loud, blow off all this like diesel fume and they smell and
Right.
oh my, it was ridiculous. Pam.
You cannot sneak up on somebody with a chainsaw. You cannot hide from somebody
Exactly.
holding a chainsaw that's working. No can do. We have to talk about an underrated scene that I love. Is poor old Demon sitting in the back of his van with Anita, who desperately is like, "Oh, those damn enchiladas!" And he's got to go run spontaneously for an outhouse because it's like they have like old food just sitting in the. Want a piece of pizza? Want an
Want some
enchilada?
Thai food?
Tries to get
You
there
want-
like,
what do you want?
And he literally has to go run to
Well,
the outhouse.
There's an
by
outhouse right next
himself.
to the gas station. That's convenient.
It's very convenient. And then him and Anita do like an impromptu, ooh, baby, ooh,
In between-
baby, ooh,
In between
for like
him calling
5
her
minutes
bitch.
while he's trying to take... Right. He does that. And not to mention, he's got the runs. So he's doing this while he's dropping a D.
You don't want to
in the
linger
stinky
in an outhouse. Yikes.
You don't. You like me to leave me alone. Let me do my business. Then we can do our duet in the back of the van. For God's sake. And of course, then they're all murdered by by Roy. Again, who doesn't know these people? Roy, these people just pulled into town 5 minutes ago.
I don't understand how, if this isn't Jason and it's just a dude getting revenge, how does he see in that mask? And why does he even have to dress up like Jason? No one.
I think like
they can't say who killed me.
Well, that's true. Well, they also established there's a scene where it's like the mayor is chewing out the sheriff, and the mayor is literally like he's got like a pinky ring, and he's like
this is New York, because I saw all their diplomas were New York.
Okay, well that makes a little more sense because he's literally like got like a gold chain. It was like, hey, what are you doing, huh? Jason's been dead already.
Forget about it. Beautiful. Sopranos versus Jason. I'd pay for that. I'd pay to see that.
We're gonna have to watch that. But that's when they established that Jason was killed at the end of the last movie and cremated. So it can't possibly be Jason.
Yeah.
But there's
you mean after he was resurrected? Because I was like, wait, he was all fleshy in the 2-inch grave. But then there was Jason again. So how did they kill the immortal being?
Okay. Again, the opening scene is like a dream sequence.
I thought I thought that's what happened. That's not real. At the beginning of the previous one. Oh, Jesus Christ.
No. Okay. Now, let me run through this. So we know in the second movie, it's really the first one with Jason in it, right? He gets hacked with a machete, but then walks away and is fine, right? At the end of the third one, he gets hit in the head with an axe and dropped out a window with a noose around his neck. Taken to the morgue, gets up out of the morgue and walks away.
Question.
So he's fine. I
So
guess.
if they didn't take him down from the noose, would he still be up there just kicking and yelling?
He was flopping around for a little bit, so I don't know.
What if they never took him down?
Questions. Then he'd just be hanging there.
So he's not immortal, is what you're saying.
This reminds me.
He's just hard to kill.
Well,
all right.
We're going to talk about this. So at the end of the final chapter, he literally takes a machete halfway through his skull, and his head goes down the blade. So it's definitely like, okay, he's dead.
But then,
and then this movie, they say he was cremated.
It was
then
all
they say
the
he
above.
was cremated. In the sixth movie that occurs after this, and we're going to talk about this behind the scenes, he is resurrected. There's a whole scene where he's literally brought back. So now he's zombie Jason. At the end of the movie, they tie a chain around his neck, attach the other end of the chain to a giant heavy rock, and submerge him in Crystal Lake. And if you go to, it might be Lake Minnetonka. If you go to Minnesota, at the bottom of that lake, you will find a floating Jason statue attached to a rock with a chain floating at the bottom of this lake.
Now I have a reason besides
Little House on the
Prairie to go to Minnesota. Going to Mankato. And then I'm going to get my scuba license just so I can see Jason. That's fantastic.
Please do so.
That is fantastic.
But what's it? Yeah, it is dynamite. Somebody did that, sunk it in the lake. I may be wrong about the lake, but I know this is a real thing.
Indeed, I will. We need to post that on the site.
Check it out. So, that's just to establish that, number one, who Tommy Jarvis is. Okay, that Corey Feldman was little Tommy Jarvis. Now it's 10 years later, however many years later. Here's adult Tommy Jarvis, who is basically a mute with anger issues.
But he talks to Reggie.
Essentially. He's constantly fighting. Occasionally he'll talk to Reggie. Occasionally he'll talk to Pam.
Selective
But that's about it. Anybody else looks at him cross-eyed, he's going to punch him out, basically.
Yeah, maybe after you've already had a kid, who was secretly, it was like that orphan where you think it's a kid, but it's really like a 40-year-old person living inside there. Once your 40-year-old child murders someone, maybe not having another one who's right on that edge too. Maybe protect the kids.
What are you talking about?
Tommy is right on the edge of becoming what is it, Vic or whatever, the guy with the axe.
Oh, gotcha. So you're saying Vic is already. So, I mean, clearly he's quick with the axe anyway. He was probably already an axe murderer coming to this place. So you're saying now you got
just
another
had a
psycho
death,
on the edge,
and you clearly have someone who's exhibiting crazy rage at the drop of a hat.
Yep.
Maybe this is not the place for him.
He beats up the dude with the cut off sleeves.
Well, that alone
button his shirt
is a reason to get beat.
That alone, no question. We didn't really even talk about the crazy neighbors all that much. There's a crazy inbred family that seemingly lives right next door. Hills Have Eyes, who literally have like slop just all over them. Wherever they go, it's like just filthy. Like the people at the beginning of Mask of the Red Death, where it's literally covered in filth.
I have to say,
like, what is happening?
Maybe I side with them because in the end, they have a right to not have people breaking into their property. You know what I mean? In the end, they are wacky and crazy, but in the end, they actually didn't really do anything wrong.
No,
besides being nuts, they just want to be left alone. So they wouldn't have even come over if these unsupervised children were not constantly breaking into their property.
Now, keep in mind, when we call them children, we mean 25 to 30-year-olds.
That are playing 15-year-olds.
Yes. At one point, Tommy's just walking down the street, and the crazy idiot man-child rolls in with the leather fighter pilot
it's
hat
like
on,
a lesser
and he starts
warrior.
It was something. It probably gets his butt kicked by an enraged Tommy, who's now like a master of kung fu. Evidently.
He's
doing all sorts of stuff
kung
on
fu.
him. Sweet Lord.
He's wandering the earth with his rage.
Something. He is. It's a sad situation. Sweet Jesus. Any other wacky scenes you want to talk about?
Seriously mentally ill, where everybody else, just except for Vic, seemed like teenagers. Except, if they were 30.
Except for them. Well, clearly Tommy should not be at the halfway house.
He's halfway to committing homicide, is what he is.
That's right.
No!
And neither should Vic, clearly. Both those guys could be sent back to the state institution, is the moral of the story. Damn Reaganomics.
That's right. I blame Ronald Reagan. May he rot in hell.
Yep. It's a sad situation.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. Sweet Jesus. Let me see.
No.
Anything else you want to talk about? I think we're probably good.
I mean, they were definitely playing
Let's
this
go
for
to
camp.
Go for it. It's hard to know what they're doing. There's definitely scenes that are meant to be campy. Enchiladas jumps to mind.
They tried to be funny,
but
it just kind of fell short. It was neither funny nor scary.
Very sad. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I always go to bat because
wait a minute. You're going to bat for this movie? Is that what you're saying?
I am. That's what I'm the one who suggested it. This is what I always say.
I'm going to need to talk to your wife. Maybe she needs a separation or something. I don't know what's
It is. Granted, it's not Shakespeare. I'm not claiming
what are you claiming it is?
It's a jaunty time. That's all I'm saying. It's jaunty. The first 6 Friday the 13th movies, I will go to bat for. They know what they are, and they do what they do. It's kind of my attitude. After 6, the entertainment value for me goes way down, in my opinion. So there you go. Are you ready for behind the
Please
scenes?
share.
Like I said, Corey Feldman. Well, originally, they keep reusing old plot lines that they were going to use. Like, for example, at the end of Friday the 13th Part 2, the girl who survives, Ginny, the sequel was supposed to have her in an institution and Jason, like, chasing her down. Now, they abandoned that plot line because the actress who played Ginny did not want to return. So they dug it out of the old drawer and said, well, instead of like the state institution, like the mental hospital, we'll have it be this woodsy halfway house, because then they're still vaguely at Camp Crystal Lake. Although, if you look, you never see a lake in this movie. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. You see
one minute
briefly,
they're in the forest, then they're in a swamp.
Yes.
Then there's a lake. I don't
Yes.
remember a swamp surrounding Camp Crystal Lake.
There's like a post-coital scene with Eddie, where he kind of gets up and leaves his naked lover in the woods, and he just throws a couple rocks in the lake. That's the only time you see.
Yeah, that was odd.
Per se.
Excuse me.
So
I'm gonna go ponder our event and throw some rocks.
Ponder the old event and throw some rocks. Exactly, as one does. As one does. So they're like, okay, well, we'll dust this off. Now, at the end of the last movie, they were kind of pushing that Corey Feldman was going to become the new Jason. Like, they had him like have a crazy look in the camera.
He was having
kind of
some
thing.
post-traumatic Jason flashbacks, which apparently didn't happen.
So they basically were to take the two things and combine them together. So Corey Feldman is now at the mental institution. However, like we said, Corey Feldman was now busy filming Goonies. So he's like, well, I can give you like 1 or 2 nights. We'll film it in my neighbor's backyard. And you can tell, if you watch that scene, the production value is clearly this is somebody's backyard. Like, there's just some rocks that dictate, oh, here's the grave, and let me take 2 minutes to write a tombstone on top of this piece of wood.
I'm surprised they had the budget to even shoot in the U.S.
This is a sad situation. So they filmed that opening scene, and then they're like, okay, well, then we'll smash cut to, here's the adult. His name was John Shepard, who played adult Tommy Jarvis. And now, instead of the mental institution, it's now the Pinehurst halfway house.
Well, at least that way,
right?
it's something different than just a straight copy of Halloween, you know.
Right. So, but here's the thing. People think this movie was a huge flop. Like, people were really disappointed that it wasn't really Jason. Like, true Jason files don't like this movie because it's not really Jason. Okay? However, it was actually a huge hit. It was a huge hit. It was like the money that was flowing in. It was comparable to like the earliest, most respected chapters.
Frickin' teenagers rule the market, man. Frickin' teenagers.
However, critically,
well, of course it was.
Critics hated it so much so that at the end of this movie, they were establishing that Tommy, now adult Tommy, would become the new Jason. Like, he's putting on the mask, and he's creeping behind the door with the knife. That they abandoned that. They said, screw it. We're not doing that. Although Tommy Jarvis does return in the next movie and is the protagonist of the next movie.
But still not
now
Corey.
He's
still not Corey.
Different actor.
I bet.
Still not Corey.
Totally
different actor. I bet you he would too. Totally different actor, and now totally well-adjusted, normal. He speaks, little things like that. But they resurrect Jason, like at the beginning of this movie, where people come and dig up Jason, and Jason pops up. That's basically what happens in part 6. Tommy and his friend Horshack, one of the sweat hogs, go to the grave, dig up Jason, even though we've established in this movie.
But I like that someone
dig up his grave
for a headstone and a grave and everything, versus it's just in a vault in LA County somewhere, you know.
Well, they sprinkled.
What if you took
the
a
sea,
single
I don't
grain
know.
of dust
They-
and handed it out to 1 million people and spread it throughout the earth? Would it all come together
Why
in some
not?
witchcraft spell for Friday the 13th, number 702?
Could be.
Write that down. It's
Could
gold.
be. Write that
It's
down.
gold.
Don't. It's gold, Jerry. Gold. He digs up the grave, and there's Jason not cremated. His body's there, and in a fit of pique, he takes like an iron pole and stabs Jason, and of course lightning strikes the pole, and that reanimates Jason. So now
Isn't it always
Jason
a
is on the
zombie
loose.
Jason?
And
It's
that's
not like
basically-
you're stopping and he's passing, except when he's ready for killing.
It's hard to say. Like, he did not appear. He appeared like a living person in the first 4 movies, although kind of a mutant-looking person. It's not until after 6 where each movie he looks more and more like his clothes are all tattered and his hands are all.
Does Jason
like, dead, and you
eat?
see,
Does
like,
Jason
bones
sleep?
sticking out. Does he use the bathroom? I don't know the answer.
Does he listen to podcasts?
It's very
because
sad.
basically, Michael Myers and Jason, to me, are just zombies.
I would say it's definitely the case for Jason now. Michael Myers is hard to say, but you also have to remember these movies have all been rebooted. So
are they
who knows
thinking
what the story is now?
beings with opinions and thoughts, or is it just like a shark?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because the Halloween movies are even more convoluted. There's all this weird, druidic crapola that, they try to explain why Michael Myers is the way he is. Whereas Jason, they don't
can't be
take the
bogged
time
down
to do
with
those
such
things.
things.
So who knows? They can't be bothered. Who cares? Ted White, who played Jason in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, they asked him to come back, and he turned it down because he did not have a good experience in it in part 4. And he regretted it later. He said he should have come back. So there you go. Because it's it's a job. You know what I'm saying?
What I want to
Take the
know is
paycheck,
what was the bad
for God's
experience?
sakes.
I want to know behind the scenes. What happened? Did he get injured?
We talked about
What
it.
was
on
the
a
bad
previous,
experience? Did he get injured or something?
No, it was he didn't like remember the director was mistreating the actresses.
Thinking they're doing
and-
some kind of inside the actor's studio at a Friday the 13th movie.
Well, remember it was the one girl was in the
That's
raft in the
right,
freezing
that's
cold
right.
lake, and he got pissed off, and it was also he didn't enjoy working with Corey Feldman. He found to be a little pain in the ass. So it was a bad like he didn't even put his name in the credits. Like they removed his name from the credits at his own request. So very sad. And he was good. He was a stunt man. Most of the time Jason is just played by a straight stunt man because you're wearing a mask. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no emoting.
You're just walking
going
around.
on. Just walking around doing your thing. There was originally a 3-minute long sex scene that in the forest. That one, the one sex scene that you don't really see. Like evidently the director had a history in adult films prior to this. And this was the actress's first big movie, and it was her first time topless on screen, and it was a whole. They cut it down to about 10 seconds because they realized what kind of movie.
Yikes!
You know what I'm saying? It's not. This ain't Behind the Green Door, for God's sake.
And she is buck wild,
moving on.
except for a bent knee. You would have seen everything.
That is absolutely true. She actually went on to become a school teacher and actually lost 2 teaching jobs because of this movie. Because, inevitably, some high school kid will see the movie and start texting
I
the
told
images
you
around.
when
It's very
Flava
sad.
Flav, Pumpkin from Flava Flav, was a substitute teacher here, and parents were showing up just wanting to see her. It caused such a ruckus that she ended up being banned by all the districts and couldn't substitute anymore. Probably spitting on people
It's a
in
sad
the face
situation.
on national TV and hooking up with Flava Flav. Not a good career path.
Yeah, that's a bad situation. Don't do it. The actress who played the girl in the sex scene, I'm trying to remember what her name was. Because it's like none of these characters, it's like they all have names, but it's like, who cares? It's like it's really of no consequence. Anyway, her real name, and maybe Tina was her name. Arguably, one of the reasons why she was hired is because her real name was Deborah Ford.
It was a sign.
Coincidence? Coincidence,
That's
you
funny.
say?
So,
Yes,
like,
it
as
was.
an actress, whatever your character is, you just kind of change your last name on the resume.
On the resume. That's exactly right. Hey, my name's Kevin
Exactly.
Kruger, perhaps? Without counting the laughing or yelling, Tommy only says about 24 words throughout the film. So it was basically a race with Roy, so you could speak the fewest number of times. Very sad. Let's see. Yeah, they had to cut this movie down for sex and violence because it was going to be an X-rated.
Oh my god!
At one point, they said, "Don't do it." The reason why Lana, the waitress at the diner, says it's showtime when exposing herself is because she had just seen all that jazz
folks.
with Roy Scheider.
Yep.
And that was his big line in All That Jazz. So there you go. Good times. This is the first movie where Jason is called by his
Jason
full name.
Voorhees, you get over here right now.
Yes. He is never called Jason Voorhees at any time. Prior to this, he's only referred to as Jason. So there you go. This was, although part 5 is listed on all the promotional material, it is not actually called part 5. It's called simply
but I was
Friday
trying
13th,
to look for it because for some reason the images were not loading on my TV, so I had to just click around at blank squares and look for the name, and it would be like 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 12. So then I had to like narrow it down by 1985. 1985. Dear Jesus.
Dude, and also, might I say, that A New Beginning would be a nice name for a crazy woodsy halfway house for disgruntled youth. A New Beginning.
Like, instead of, or passages, like all those
together.
Malibu. It sounds like one of those Malibu rehab for rich kids.
I could have sworn there was a rehab place in the desert called like A New Beginning or something like that.
Maybe.
New Beginnings. I don't remember. It's entirely possible. With all of the passages of time, even though this movie comes out in 85, if you do the math, it really takes place in 89.
All right.
So there you go.
Why is that?
Do you know why that is? Because between the first and second movie, 5 years passes. And between the fourth movie and the fifth movie, clearly more time passes. Because little Corey Feldman becomes adult... what's his name? John Shepard.
All right.
So there you go. The actors who auditioned for this movie thought they were going to be in a movie called Repetitions.
Why do they always do that?
Which is a David Bowie song.
Didn't we, one of the earlier ones that we reviewed, the people showed up thinking this was a different movie?
I think they want to keep it under wraps. That another Friday the 13th movie is coming out. I think it's supposed to be a surprise. I guess that would be my theory. And people, like literally the actors who were hired, didn't know they were in a Friday the 13th movie until they were on set and Jason walks by.
Well, does no one get a script,
like, oh,
or
Jesus.
do they change the name from Jason to Timothy?
They change it to Timothy.
It's Timothy
It's standard what they do.
It's Jason's cousin.
I think what it is that oftentimes you're on set kind of as like Joey's helping with the laundry kind of thing in the background, like Vic's driving by in a tractor. I don't know if they're like initially they're required to have lines or know their motivations or anything.
I'm sorry.
The sad thing is the actor who played.
I need some help. What is my I'm Pam. What is my motivation for this? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I scared
That's
that
what they
Jason's
do.
chasing me? Tell me.
I noticed Jason's chasing me.
Do
What
I
is my
want to get
motivation in this scene? It's 50-50. The sad thing is that the actor who played Tommy, John Shepherd, actually went and worked in a mental institution for 3 months to prepare for this role that he thought was going to be, kind of an Academy Award winner deal. And then he walks in to discover, it's Friday the 13th, part 5.
Is that why he became selectively mute? After that, I just worked out 20 hours a day, and then I just look menacingly at people.
It's a very sad situation. I think that's about it. Like I said, people were not happy with the experience. John Shepherd was asked to reprise the role of Tommy Jarvis in the next movie, and he said hell no, which is why they had to
Did he go on to
recast.
Do anything?
The actor who played... he became a born-again Christian.
He and Donna Summer regretting all their choices that made them famous, that paid for their houses.
He's in those Kirk Cameron movies, I think.
Sweet
Left
baby
Behind,
Jesus.
or whatever the hell, Unburnt. The actor who played Roy said he didn't realize how lousy the movie was until he saw it. He's like, this is a piece of crap. And nobody liked the director. They said half the time the director came to set totally coked out, and that the cinematographer had to shoot a lot of the scenes. And this is actually the last movie that the director
He didn't go
shot.
to New Beginnings afterwards.
He should have gone to New Beginnings, for God's sakes. Sherilyn Fenn of Twin Peaks fame was considered for the role of Violet.
I like her.
But turned it down.
And she always has
just one of the guys.
Such an interesting look. She was on a couple episodes of Gilmore Girls too.
And what was it, Two Moon Junction?
That
her big claim to fame. You know it. And like we said, Shavar Ross, who played Reggie on Different Strokes, he was Arnold Jackson's best friend.
My favorite character in this
He's
whole
in
movie.
this scene.
He was great.
But it's a weird thing. They were like, just like Corey Feldman is the 10-year-old protagonist in part 4, you've got Shavar Ross, Reggie. That's not his name in this movie. His name it is Reggie the Reckless. He was Dudley on Different Strokes. That's what it was. Why are you bringing 10-year-olds? Why are there 10-year-old cast members of these slasher flicks? What is the goal? You know what I'm saying? It's like, nothing's going to happen to them. Because if something happens to the 10-year-old, that's a horrible movie. No one's going to want to watch that.
And logically,
some murder of a 10-year-old.
So he's being raised by his grandfather, and they live in the mental institution with teenage. It just doesn't seem.
I don't know.
I guess if you think of this as a group home, I guess you have mixed age groups. It just doesn't seem very safe.
Well, I don't know if he's visiting his grandfather.
No.
He's not an inmate. Because he makes a point to say that. I'm just here visiting my grandpa.
Forever.
And then, of course, his older brother, Demon, forever. I'm visiting forever.
Yeah, because there's no mention of parents.
It's a sad situation.
Even when he gets together with his brother, there's no mention of parents. So I'm guessing he's living with grandpa. Who gets killed, but we don't see that. Just the body shows up.
We're going to talk about that. Yes, this movie has a ridiculous number of people who are killed.
Their bodies just show up.
They don't even go missing. It's just suddenly you're like stumbling over their corpse. That's what happens to the doctor, and that's what happens to Gramps. Gramps gets thrown through the window. You never see them get killed. You never see them go missing. It's just suddenly like, whoops.
Well,
I guess that person's dead too. It's a sad situation. Gina Gershon was considered to play Tina, the naked woman in the woods. So
all right.
She turned it down. And I think that's about it. I think that's all we need to know. Looking at the cast, like we said, it's
very
Pickens.
diverse. Usually these slasher films, it's all white people. There were people of color in this film.
There were people of color in
all
this
die.
film. 3.
Yeah.
No, Reggie survived.
Reggie's the last boy.
And it kind of Reggie's the
But he's
the
Jason,
Tommy
so
survives
that
as
doesn't
well.
count.
So it's like this. He's later determined to be Jason. It's very sad. But that was the thing. It used to be one person survived. In the first 3 movies, one person survives. In part 4, you got little Tommy and his older sister. And this is another question. Where's Tommy's sister? We never see her again. She just abandons poor Tommy to the psycho ward and says adios. Peace in the Middle East. So like we said, Corey Feldman was the big star of this movie. Again, in about 2 minutes of the movie. After that, people that you'd recognize, like I said, Dudley from Different Strokes. I think that's probably about it. I mean, if I look at like Pam, her name is Melanie Kinnaman. She was in Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
All right, and then straight to porn.
She was in General Hospital, I guess, for one episode. So there you go. Straight to porn. What the heck is this? Okay, John Shepard. He actually was
Who the
in
hell's
the
Bobby
Bobby
Jones?
Jones movie.
Oh, come on.
The Ultimate Gift.
You're deep diving.
The golfer.
You're scraping. I lost you with the
It's an
Kirk
all-star
Cameron.
cast.
I'm
Okay.
like,
Deep dive. Okay, I'm not going to go. Let's see. Robin was played by Juliette Cummins. She was a US
So no
national
acting
gymnast for
experience.
14 years.
Continue.
So if you're a big gymnast fans. She was also in Slumber Party Massacre Part 2. If that does it for it. It's an like I said, all-star cast. And this is the first film in the series to feature a killer being arrested, by the way. So that's important. But it's not Jason, it's Vic. At the end of the movie, when it seems Tommy is becoming Jason, the changes to like, because originally it was like kill, ma, was originally what it was supposed to be. No, it was kill, ma,
okay.
was what it was, because it was kill her, mommy, kill her. This time they change it to because it's Tommy.
I did notice a shift, but I didn't care enough to pay attention to what that shift was.
No, it's not here nor there. Anyway, so that's the cast and crew and all that.
Oh
good
my
stuff.
God, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Should we talk about the ratings?
Yes. Said it was rotten.
Rotten Tomatoes said it was rottone. It was an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that is a redemption.
But the audience redeemed it. They gave it a 26%.
Oh my God.
Redemption song.
I'm going to give it
what is your
out
rating?
of 5 injections of the Jason virus. It is a piece of crap.
That is madness. That is madness. I give it.
Oh my God! Is every movie?
I give it 3 out of 4
3 out of 5.
That's what I get.
Oh, 3 out of 4. Oh,
I gave it 3 out of 4. That's a solid C, baby. No, it's. I think they're fun. I think the first 6 movies are fun. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Again, not Shakespeare.
Not even Shakespeare dinner theater.
Walk into it with your eyes wide open. You know what you're getting. Not even exactly. That's exactly correct. Good times had by all. So there you have it. Thank you for joining us. Go to our page on Facebook at the Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcast TWDie. Email us at the Podcast That Wouldn't Die at Gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc., etc., etc. Make sure you like, but not SoundCloud. Make sure you like, share, rate, review, spread the word, won't you?
Voltaire.
And Aaron, you are also on social media. What's the word?
And parlay.
On Twitter and parlay.
They said it was based on the French word
It's not called
to
parlay.
speak, and
Anyway.
that's parlay. That's how you would pronounce it.
Okay. Moving
I'm
on.
on the Insta. I'm on
But
the
you're also on
Twitter.
Insta.
I am
Is it a
not
different?
on the dark web or 4chan.
Well, there's that. We can all be thankful for.
Peace.
So thank you very much, and be well.